This is called Alligator Baby by Robert Munch. This is called Alligator Baby by Robert Munch. This is called Alligator Baby by Robert Munch. One night, Kristen's mother woke up and yelled, "I'm having a baby! I'm having a baby!" Kristen's father jumped up and ran around the room, got dressed, grabbed Kristen's mother by the hand, and ran downstairs and jumped into the car and drove off really fast. Vroom. Unfortunately, they got lost, but they didn't go to the hospital. They went to the zoo. But it was okay. Kristen's mother had a lovely baby. They drove back and knocked on the door. Bam, 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 bam. Kristen opened the door, and her mother was holding something all wrapped up and said, would you like to see your new baby brother?" "Oh, yes," said Kristen. She lifted up the bottom of the blanket and saw a green leg, a long green tail, and said, That's not a people tail." Kristen lifted up the middle of the blanket and saw a green claw and said, That's not a people claw." She lifted up the top of the blanket and saw a long green face with sharp, long teeth and yelled, "That is not my baby brother." "Now, Kristen," said her mother, "don't be jealous." Just then the baby reached up and bit Kristen's mother's on the nose. She yelled, "Ah!" Then the baby reached up and bit her father on the nose, and he yelled, "Ah! That's not a people baby, that's an alligator baby." "Goodness," said her mother, "we've got the wrong baby." So Kristen put the alligator baby into the fish tank, and her mother and father drove back to the zoo and came back in an hour and knocked on the door. Bam, 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 bam. Kristen opened the door, and her mother was holding something all wrapped up and said, "Would you like to see your new baby brother?" "Oh, yes," said Kristen. Kristen lifted up the bottom of the blanket and saw a fish tail and said, "That's not a people tail." She lifted up the middle of the blanket and saw a flipper and said, "That's not a people flipper." Kristen lifted up the top of the blanket and saw a face, with whiskers and said, "That is not a people face. That is not my baby brother." "Now, Kristen," said her mother, "don't be jealous." Just then the baby reached up and flippered and flapped her father on the face. Whap, 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 whap. He yelled, "Ah! It's a seal baby. We've got the wrong baby." So Kristen put the seal baby into the bathtub, and her mother and father drove back to the zoo. They came back in an hour and knocked on the door. Bam, 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 bam. They said, "Kristen, would you like to see your new baby brother?" "Oh, yes," said Kristen. "I've been waiting a long time." She She lifted up the bottom of the blanket and saw a very hairy leg and said, "That's not a people leg." She lifted up the middle of the blanket and saw a very hairy arm and said, "That's not a people arm." She lifted up the top of the blanket and saw a very hairy face and said, "That's not a people face. That is not my baby brother." "Now, Kristen," said her mother, "don't be jealous." Just then, the baby reached up with its feet and grabbed her mother's ear and her father's ear. They both yelled, "Ah, it's a gorilla baby! We've got the wrong baby." "Let me do it," said Kristen. So her mother and father put the gorilla baby on the chandelier in the living room, and Kristen went off and to the zoo on her bicycle. First, Kristen looked in the snake cage. Nope, no people babies. Then Kristen looked in the wombat cage and said, "Nope, no people babies." Then Kristen looked in the elephant cage. Nope, no people babies. Then stopped and listened from far away and heard, "Wah, wah, wah." "That's not like it," said Kristen. She followed the sound. It was coming from the gorilla cage. Kristen looked at the mommy gorilla and said, "Give me back my baby brother." The gorilla jumped away and wouldn't give the baby back at all. Then the baby reached up and bit the gorilla on the nose. The gorilla yelled, "Ah!" and handed the baby back to Kristen. Kristen jumped on the bike and pedaled home. Kristen knocked on the door. Bam, 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 bam. When her parents opened the door, she said, "Would you like to see your new brother? New baby?" Kristen's mother lifted up the bottom of the blanket and said, "Look, people feet." She lifted up the middle of the blanket and said, "Look, people arms." She lifted up the top of the blanket and said, "Look, even a people face." And Kristen's mother picked up the baby and gave it a big hug. And her father lifted up the baby and gave it a big hug too. And her mother said, Kristen, you got a baby back. Good for you." "But what are we going to do with the other babies?" said her father. There's a gorilla hen. There's a seal baby in the bathtub. There's a gorilla baby hanging from the chandelier. And there's an alligator baby in the fish tank. Shouldn't we bring them back to the zoo? But Kristen looked out the window and said, "I don't think we'll have to do anything at all." And everything was okay until Kristen's mother had twins. The end. One night, Kristen's mother woke up and yelled, "I'm having a baby! I'm having a baby!" Kristen's father jumped up, zoomed around the room, got dressed, and grabbed Kristen's mother by the hand and ran downstairs and jumped into the car and drove to really fast. Vroom. Unfortunately, they got lost. They didn't go to the hospital. They went to the zoo. But it was okay. They had a lovely baby. They drove home and knocked on the door. Bam, 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 bam.